Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into a really crucial tool for anyone building on the web, Cypress. We're going to build a rock-solid foundation for testing, and we're going to move beyond just typing commands to really understanding the why behind it all. But before we write a single line of code, we have to start with the most fundamental question of all. It's not enough to just build a website. How do you actually prove that it works from the perspective of a real person? Someone actually clicking through it. The answer to that question, well, it lies in making a little mental shift. This is what transforms you from someone who just uses a tool into a true automation thinker, someone who really gets how to verify a user's entire experience from start to finish. And that is exactly what Cypress is for. At its core, it's a tool that automates a real web browser to do what we call end-to-end testing. Just think of it like a robot that follows a script you wrote to test the entire user journey, from the second they land on your site to the moment they leave. It checks the user interface, it validates the API, and it simulates the exact path a real person would take. Think about any e-commerce site you've used. You log in, you browse for stuff, you add something to your cart, you pay for it, and then you log out. Cypress is built to make sure that this entire chain of events happens perfectly, without anything breaking for the user along the way. Okay, enough talk. Let's dive in and get our hands dirty. We're going to lay the groundwork for our very first test, and you're about to see just how easy it is to get a project up and running. Seriously, it really just takes 3 simple commands in your terminal. First, you initialize a new project. Second, you install Cypress. And third, you just tell it to open. That is it. And the moment you run that open command, Cypress automatically builds out this really clean folder structure for you. All your tests, they live in the E2E folder. Your test data, that goes in fixtures. And any reusable code lives in support. It keeps everything neat and tidy right from the very start. Now that we're all set up, let's look at the basic toolkit Cypress gives us. Honestly, it all kind of boils down to 3 core things you need to do: finding stuff on the page, acting on that stuff, and then checking the results. First up, finding things. You can't click a button if you can't find it, right? In Cypress, the commands you use to find things are called locators. They're basically a GPS for your web page. Now, what's really fascinating here is the difference between these two. cy.get looks for technical things, like an ID, stuff that's invisible to the user. But cy.contains, on the other hand, finds elements by the text a user can actually see. That's a subtle but really powerful difference, because testing from a user's perspective, well, that leads to much better tests. So, once you've found an element, the next logical step is to, do something with it. And that's where user actions come in. These commands are designed to perfectly mimic what a real person does on your site. And the commands are so intuitive, they're practically plain English. If you want to type into a field, you use .type. If you want to click a button, it's .click. Choose from a dropdown, it's .select. Each action is a direct translation of real user behavior. So here's the crucial point. Finding things and clicking on them is only half the battle. The most important part of any test is proving that your actions had the correct result. This is the assertion layer, and it's what ultimately decides if a test passes or fails. Assertions are what connect your code to actual business meaning. For instance, should be visible isn't just a technical check. It's asking, can the user actually see this on their screen? Or should contain text. It's confirming that the right information is actually being shown. Okay, theory is great, but let's see how this actually works. We're going to put all these pieces together, the locators, the actions, and the assertions, to build our very first complete real-world test for a simple login flow. Every test has to start somewhere. So here, cy.visit/login tells the browser to navigate to the login page, just as if a user typed that URL in themselves and hit enter. Next, we use a locator, cy.get #email, to find that email input field. Then, right on the end of it, we chain an action, .type, to put in our test user's email address. And you guessed it, we do the exact same thing for the password. Find the password fields, and then use the .type action to enter the password. Simple as that. So, the form is filled out. Only one thing left to do. We find that login button, and then we simulate a user click to submit the whole thing. And now for our first verification, the moment of truth. After clicking login, we expect to be sent somewhere else. This line of code checks that the new page URL now includes the word /dashboard, which proves we had a successful redirect. And for our final check, we look for the word welcome somewhere on the new page. Then we add that crucial assertion, should be visible, to make absolutely sure that this welcome message is actually visible to the user. And this just brilliantly shows the power of what we're doing here. Those few simple lines of code, they didn't just test a login form. No way. They validated that the server is running, the UI is loading, the database credentials are correct, the business logic works, and a user session was successfully created. All of that in one little test. This brings us to what our source material calls a beginner truth bomb, and it is without a doubt the single most important thing to take away from this. If this foundational layer is weak, if you don't really get locators, actions, and assertions, everything else you build on top of it is just going to be flaky and unreliable. So mastering these fundamentals, it isn't just a suggestion, it's really the non-negotiable first step. It's how you build automated tests that everyone on your team and even your users can actually trust. Because when it comes to testing, the foundation is absolutely everything.